The Genius Invokation TCG is filled with a ton of decks, but a lot of players are struggling to find one to call their own. Today I'm going to give you a quick guide on Superconduct, featuring Keqing, Ganyu, and Fischl. There are a few variations of this archetype, but this is the one I'm going to focus on today. I spent about a week playing this deck in public games online to prepare for this video, and I can safely say it's pretty good. Look, it's no Ayaka Yoimiya, but nothing can really compare to that deck in my opinion. But this one is still doing really well and has been solid for me thus far. If you have any questions, I stream Genshin Impact and Genius Invocation every day on Twitch. The link's in the description, so come hang out. The general game plan of the deck is simple. You'll lead with Ganyu and attack a few times to get your burst ready. When it's up, you'll use it to apply cryo to the opposing player's active character, also dealing damage to the rest of their crew. Afterwards, it summons a sacred cryo pearl, and that does the same. Now that your opponent has a unit marked with cryo, your game plan is to proc Superconduct, which means dealing electro damage to it. Superconduct deals 1 additional damage to the target and then 1 piercing damage to all other characters, making for a large area of effect damage. While 1 damage isn't a lot, it can add up over time and will be the name of the game with this deck. You can go about applying this in a few different ways, but typically you'll aim to swap into Fischl and then use her skill to summon Oz. This lets you have 2 active summons over about 2 turns that will apply Superconduct, pushing a lot of area of effect damage very quickly. From here on out, you'll aim to use your bursts and other damaging abilities to close out the game, shifting characters as needed to either re-up on elemental reactions or to make use of your abilities. Both Keqing and Fischl's elemental bursts do a lot of area of effect damage, so by chipping away at them using Superconduct, you can close out the game very quickly with 1 or 2 large effect abilities. The deck is actually pretty simple when you get the hang of it, and can be very relaxing to play. Unlike a lot of other decks within Genius Invocation, it honestly kind of feels like you don't really rely on the cards in your deck that much. Now obviously you have some really important cards such as Paimon, Timmy, Liben, and they will give you more flexibility with more die, but the rest of the deck feels like very often you're cycling cards to change your dice into ones that fit your game plan. Don't be afraid to convert your cards into elemental die. If you need to attack, your abilities are the most important part of this deck. As the meta develops, a more refined list will probably be found, but for now, this is a good starting place, and this is what I've been playing, all on ladder. Due to the nature of Genius Invocation, the strong cards feel a lot stronger than the other ones, making it really hard to find a perfect list. You have the really good cards like Paimon, which feel so important to every deck, and then other cards kind of fall off a little bit and feel kind of niche at times. Personally, the interesting choice that I've been running has been Lotus Flower Crisp, which lets you take less damage on your next instant with a character, and this can really help, especially when facing against Ayaka OTK decks. Avoiding the 1-turn kill by lowering the damage can be huge, and if you time it properly, you can close out the game instantly. On top of this, I've been experimenting with Exile's Circlet, because it allows you to get your burst up on other characters ASAP, which lets you combo and close out the game so much faster. I mentioned this in our last deck guide for Ayaka Yoimiya, but the mulligan is one of the most important phases in card games. Being able to choose which cards you want in your opening hand and throw back the ones that aren't helpful is huge, so it's really important that if you take anything away, it's this part of the video. With most Genius Invocation decks, the most important part of the mulligan is finding cards that generate more die. This means cards such as Paimon, Timmy, Liben, and in this case, Parametric Transformer. These are going to be the most important cards. After that, things that draw cards always help. Strategize is one of the better choices for the deck. It's 1 mana, it draws 2 cards. It's really helpful and it's honestly huge. If you have a good hand, you can also look to keep Exile's Circlet, because this card can enable some pretty strong combos early. If you play this on Ganyu super early before you elemental burst, it just makes it easier for you to get Keqing and Fischl's burst up as well. Finally, while I haven't had too much time to test it myself, if you're playing against Ayaka Yoimiya, consider keeping Lotus Flower Crisp. Lowering the damage can prevent them from going off and killing your unit, which can buy you enough time to close out the game if you time it properly. Superconduct is an archetype that has been taking Genius Invocation by storm. Pun intended. The deck is solid and a lot of fun to play, while also being significantly less complicated than the combo decks that others are playing. If you've enjoyed this video, please let me know what deck you want me to cover next. I make Genshin content on this channel several times a week, and I really hope to see you back here again. Be sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time.